Steinberg,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
the Constitution of the United States.
How you feeling?
I'm very happy. You know, I'm blessed now to lead the city that I love.
That was Sacramento Mayor Darrell Steinberg at his mayoral inauguration nearly 8 years ago. Now the mayor is preparing to leave that office in the next few weeks. Thanks for joining us tonight for Fox 40 News at 5:30. I'm Nikki Lorenzo. So one of Steinberg's biggest contributions to the city came before he was actually mayor, helping keep the Kings in Sacramento and playing a role in getting the Golden One Center built while leading the state Senate. Steinberg's tenure as mayor included successes, including the construction of the Safe Credit Union Convention Center complex, the development of UC Davis Aggie Square in Oak Park, and the recent announcement surrounding a rail yard stadium for the Republic and revitalizing the old Sacramento waterfront. So his tenure also faced challenges, including the COVID-19 pandemic, the death of Stephon Clark, and the protests in the aftermath, and a homeless crisis that's impact was felt not just here in Sacramento, but across the state. So I'm saying this one final time. As mayor of Sacramento, you join us here in studio. Darrell Steinberg, thanks so much for being here.
It's been a great honor, Nikki. Thank you for having me.
Did we tick through your resume? And I know there's a lot more in the assembly and city council. Did we hit the highlights? Okay.
Not bad for 30 seconds.
Okay. You know, we got TV time here.
Exactly.
We got to condense some things.
It was good.
So as you look at the past 8 years and as this is coming to a close, what are you most proud of?
I think I'm most proud of the fact that I think I provided steady and strong leadership during some of the most challenging times in the city's history, and I was able to lead the city towards some great accomplishments along the way. You talked about the Golden One Center. I get to bookend two parts of my public service. At the end of my Senate tenure, I was in a position as President Pro Tem to play a big role in saving the Kings. And now I get to bookend the end of my mayorship with finally delivering on a professional soccer stadium for the rail yards. And of course, so much more for the rail yards and the waterfront. And so I feel a sense of accomplishment. It's been a journey. It has been as challenging or more challenging than being Pro Tem of the Senate during the Great Recession. I know that it has been messy at times. Mm-hmm. I have made my share of mistakes, but I think in the end, I delivered for the city during, again, some historic, challenging times.
So there's a quote from an article in an interview that you did from January of 2017, and I found this quote: "The only reason to do these jobs is to use your title and authority to make great things happen." And so you talk about the steady leadership and you talk about, you know, things that you wanted to do when you came into office. What is something that if you could have a do-over or a mulligan, is there something specific that sticks out to you?
Well, nothing specific, but I will say there are two sides to setting high expectations. Mm-hmm. And I did. Remember, I came into this office as after being the leader of the Senate. I had no illusions that it was going to be easy, but I may have underestimated the challenges at the local government level, especially with this form of government. The mayor has all the accountability and actually very little of the authority. And so I set very high expectations. I came in strong. And I think the downside of that is that it might have disappointed some people that, for example, I was not able to, no one is able to actually solve homelessness. Mm-hmm. Even though we've had a 41% reduction between 2022 and 2024, less than 100 beds when I started, almost 1,500 now and growing. We've done more than ever before. The other side of setting those high expectations is that if you don't do that and risk a little bit, you don't get nearly as far. And I think we've gotten far, not only on homelessness. The other thing that I look at is the creative economy in this city and how over 8 years, even despite pandemic and all these challenges, I think together we have changed the arc of this city in a way that's never going back. The city has always been a government town. It's been a slow-moving city. Now the people want more vitality, more energy, more placemaking, more sports, more music, more art, more of everything. And I believe that with the investments that we've made and the insistence that the city needs to do more than just provide the basic services, that we have moved the arc of the city in a way that will not go backwards. We want to be a more cosmopolitan city. And that comes with challenges, but it also comes with opportunity. And by the way, we've done so in a way that says, let's make sure we don't leave out those neighborhoods, Stockton Boulevard, Del Paso Boulevard, Northgate Boulevard, the often forgotten neighborhoods and commercial corridors that deserve that economic uplift just as much as any other part of town.
Is there a time that you look back and you say this was the toughest part? I mean, I remember watching the city council meetings after the murder of Stephon Clark and the social justice movement that started after George Floyd, and trying to listen to all sides and make sure everyone was heard, but also keeping the order of the city meeting. Was that a tough time for?
The toughest time, I think, were two really. One was after the death of Stephon Clark, and the other was after the murder of George Floyd. And obviously, it's the same subject, but bearing the anguish and the pain of so many people in our community, trying to dig deeper myself and to be a better leader, and to also recognize that the job of mayor is to bear the pain, the frustrations, hopefully sometimes the joy and the happiness of the entire city. And those were very tough times for me. Chairing the city council meetings at once is both a challenging and happy thing to do, because you get to lead very important discussions and try to bring the city council together. But it has been challenging bearing the pain and sometimes the anger of a lot of people. And people don't necessarily see you as an individual, and that isn't what matters to them. You're their mayor, and that's a symbol. And they want the problems to get better. They want injustices to be healed. And I have done my best to move the city in a direction that grows the city, but also uplifts people who have traditionally been left out and left behind. And even as I say, though it's been messy, I think we've got a long list of accomplishments that show real investments in every part of our city, some projects that are going to last for generations, like the rail yards and the waterfront in Aggie Square. And doing all that, again, leading in a way that I think, for the most part, was respectful of everybody, and helping keep a calm, strong presence during times where things could have gotten much worse.
And you've been in politics a long time. There's always criticism, and you have to have a thick skin. And there might be folks watching this interview and going, wait a minute, I drive up and down the streets of downtown Sacramento. I see tents, and I see drug activity, and blight, and businesses closed. And I hate seeing that, and I wish more was done. What do you say to people who feel that way?
Well, I say several things. Number one, there's still a lot of work to do, and people's frustration is completely understandable. Secondly, the city is not a health and human services agency. We don't do mental health and substance abuse. Despite all of that, over 8 years, we have leaned in like never before in the history of our city, and I think the results show that things are better than they were. Still not good enough. But when I say a 41% reduction in unsheltered homelessness between 2022 and 2024, that is the single largest reduction in the entire state. When I say the city was funding less than 100 beds a night when I started as mayor, and we now fund and or operate close to 1,500, when I could say that we didn't have a department devoted to this, now we have the Department of Community Response that's out there on the street every single day with the county mental health workers. We are making a difference, and it's going in the right direction. This is a societal problem, of course, as you alluded to earlier. It's not just the city or the county of Sacramento.
Yes, this is statewide, and you see it in cities large and small.
Yeah, and frankly, my history with mental health, and I authored California's Millionaire's Tax, Prop 63, and I've been dedicated to this cause for my life. And I believe that the root cause of homelessness is largely economic.
Okay.
We must deal with the economic divide in this state. The cost of housing. We're pricing too many people out because we've always had people living in very fragile states who held on in single-room occupancy hotels or inexpensive apartments. Those same people now have gone from fragile and housed to very fragile and unhoused. And yes, drugs and fentanyl and all of it.
And that's what people see on the streets when they're waiting at a stoplight, and that's what sort of frustrates them. I mean, at least that's what I hear when we're covering these stories and we get feedback from members of the community.
Nobody should be living on the streets, both for the people who are living out there and also the community that has to not only see it, but sometimes be affected in very real ways by it. It was probably a longer conversation, but fundamentally, I have argued for a long time. There ought to be a legal obligation of government to make sure that everybody has the basic shelter and housing and services they need, and the individuals ought to have a legal obligation to accept it. Neither of those things is true today. Everything we do in this area as a society and government is voluntary and optional. And I think the law eventually needs to change to mandate that we get everybody off the streets in a dignified way and that they accept the help when it is offered. And we've moved aggressively towards those goals in a way that I think is better than when the crisis certainly hit its peak. And so I hope my successor continues to engage in this work. We can't afford not to.
All right, we're going to talk about that and much more. We're going to take a quick break.